going to be taking a look at multiplying and dividing fractions now. So good news is multiplying and dividing is a lot easier than adding and subtracting because you don't need a common denominator. So for multiplying fractions, all you're going to do is multiply straight across on the numerator and straight across on the denominator. So a lot of the problems will have the negative sign out front. Think about that negative sign being only with the top number. So I'm not considering this -3 and -5 because two negatives make a positive. So that negative sign only count with the top number. So -3 times 1 is -3. And then 5 times 4 is 20. So you're just multiplying. I'm going straight across with that multiplication. So I can't simplify this at all, so that'd be my answer. So when you're writing your answer, that negative sign either goes with the top number or you could write it out front. So next one, so I have -2 times -4/7. So this is a whole number. To change it into a fraction, I'm just going to put a 1 underneath, and then I'm multiplying straight across. So this negative sign, I'm going to make belong to the 4. So when you have a negative, just have it belong to the top number. It does not belong to both of these. So -2 times -4 is +8. 1 times 7 is 7. And then I would need to simplify this. It's an improper fraction. So 7 goes into 8 once, and there's 1 left over. So 1 and 1/7 would be my answer. Okay, next one. So here I have a mixed number. When you're multiplying or dividing, you have to change it into an improper fraction. When you're adding or subtracting, you can kind of choose. But when you're multiplying or dividing, you have to change it. So I'm going to change this into improper, so times and then add. So 10 times 3 is 30, plus 1 is going to give me 31. And then my other fraction is fine. So again, I'm going straight across. I put that negative with the 1 on top. So 31 times -1 is going to be -31. 10 times 2 is 20. So I have an improper fraction, so I need to simplify it. So 20 would go into 31 once, so it's going to be -1. And there's going to be 11 left over. Okay, so -1 and 11 over 20. So multiplying, just go straight across. If you start with a mixed number, make sure you're changing it improper first. When you are dividing fractions, there's just one extra step. So I have -1/4 divided by -2/3. When you're dividing fractions, your second fraction flips. So first one stays the same, second one flips. So I'm going to rewrite my first fraction and put that negative up front with the 1. And then my 2 and 3 are going to flip. I'm going to keep that negative with my top number. So that negative I'm just going to keep on top, so it's going to be with the 3. And what that flipping of the fraction does is changes the division into multiplication. So now I have a multiplication problem, so I'm going to go straight across like the other ones. So -1 times -3 is +3. 4 times 2 is 8. So 3/8 would be my answer. So for division, just flip your second fraction. If it's a negative fraction, keep the negative sign with the top number even after you flip it. Okay, if you kept it on the bottom, you would get the same answer. So let's say you kept that negative with the 2, and so it'd be a -2 on the bottom. You're going to end up with the same answer because -1 times 3 is -3, and then 4 times -2 is -8. And these two negatives would turn into a positive because we can't have two negatives there. So you get the same answer either way. I just personally think it's easier if you keep that negative sign with the top number at all times. All right, next division problem. So first fraction stays the same, second one flips, so my 2 and 1 are going to flip spots. I'm going to keep that negative sign with the top, and the whole point of flipping is to make it into a multiplication problem. So 3 times -2 is going to give me -6. 8 times 1 is 8. So in this fraction, I can reduce this. 2 goes into both of them. So if you can reduce or simplify a fraction, I expect you to. So -6 divided by 2 is going to simplify to be -3, and then a 4 on the bottom. All right, last one. So with multiplication and division, if you have a mixed number, first step is to make it improper. So multiply and then add. So 6 times 4 is 24, plus 1 is going to give me 25. I'm going to stick that negative sign with my top number. And then 5 times 2 is 10, plus 3 is going to give me 13. Okay, so right now it's still a division problem, so to change it to multiplication, I'm flipping my second fraction. So I'm going to have negative 25 over 6 times 5 over 13. And then I can multiply straight across. These numbers are pretty big, so I'm going to go to my calculator to help me with this multiplication. If you don't need a calculator, that's awesome, but if you want to use one, that's totally fine. Okay, so I got negative 125 over 78. So now I need to simplify this because it is a improper fraction and I want my final answer to be a mixed number. So I need to figure out how many times 78 goes into 125. So I know 70 times 2 would be 140. So just using estimation, 78 can only go into 125 once. If you're not sure about that, you can use your calculator and do 125 divided by 78. And the whole number out front is a 1, so I know it can only go in evenly one time. So I know I'm going to have a negative 1 out front for my whole number. And now I need to figure out the leftovers. So 78 times 1 is 78. So I need to go from 78 to 125. So 125 minus 78. So 125 minus 78 is going to give me 47. So I know 47 is going to be my leftover, so my new numerator. All right, I can't simplify that, so final answer, negative 1 and 47 over 78. When multiplying and dividing fractions, just make sure that if you have a mixed number, you're changing to improper first. And when you're dividing, flip that second fraction first. So flip that second fraction first, and then you're good to go multiplying straight across. Keep all your negative signs with the top number. So keep all your negatives with the numerators.